Welcome to Combos from the Couch by LifeStance Health, where leading mental health professionals help guide you on your journey to a healthier, more fulfilling life. Welcome to another episode of Combos from the Couch. I'm Nicolette Lianza, and today we're talking about what does it actually mean to feel like you belong at work, and what happens when you don't. I'm joined today by our LifeStance DEIB Central co-chairs, Jewel Ratcliffe. Hey there, Jewel.
Hey, everyone.
And Madison Coward-Thibodeau. Hey there, Madison.
Hi, Nicolette. Thanks for having us.
Yes, of course. And we're diving into how organizations and individuals alike can create cultures where people truly feel seen and valued. So great to have you both on. Let's get started. Let's have you tell us a little bit about yourselves, and we'll have Jewel start us off.
Absolutely. As you said, my name is Jewel Ratcliffe. I am a licensed clinical social worker supervisor working as the clinical director of Dallas-Fort Worth area in Texas. And I also serve as the co-chair for the Central Region DEIB committee with LifeStance. I'm a mom of 5, a coffee and plant enthusiast, and in my work, I'm really passionate about creating spaces where people feel seen and respected and supported. And that includes clients, of course, but it also includes the people doing the work every day, the clinicians and front office staff, operations, all the teams that help keep things moving. This really draws me into this conversation about belonging.
Oh my gosh, thank you, Jewel. And Madison?
Yeah, hi guys. I'm Madison Coward-Thibodeau. I'm an HR professional here at LifeStance Health. I am a part of our national onboarding team, and I'm the other co-chair for the DEIB Central Region. Outside of my work, I love to create. I like to read and cook. I'm an artist myself, and I am also a pottery instructor. So I'm a big people person, always have been. In the work for belonging, I am all about reinforcing safety in spaces, individuality, self-worth, and self-value. So I enjoy partnering with Joel to make both of our passions come true and support the Central Region in this way.
Wonderful, thank you. So we're going to jump in here. Can you help us understand what belonging means and why it matters in our work lives? So Jewel, what do you think about that?
When I think about belonging, I think about the experience of feeling seen and valued, respected, and included. It's the feeling that you have a place, that your contributions matter, that you don't have to hide important parts of yourself in order to be accepted. I also think it's important to say that belonging is different from simply being included, right? You can be invited to a meeting and still not feel like your voice matters. You
Very
can be
true.
part of a team and still feel unseen, right? Belonging goes deeper than being present. It's about whether people feel valued and connected once they're there.
Definitely, I agree. Madison?
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with Joel. Belonging isn't a monolith. Shared characteristics like race, gender, age don't always mean shared opinions and behaviors. So belonging highlights those intersectionalities. It's important in our lives because we spend 40 plus hours a week with each other. We work in different environments and cultures. And so when you have people showing up as their best selves, you're getting the best work from those people in return. And the people are what make a company, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I think the people make the company, and I think it's important that looking at a company culture is so key. And so this is what leads me to ask you, how can belonging affect employee morale? Jewel?
I think belonging can have a huge impact on morale. When people feel like they belong, they're more likely to feel connected, motivated, and invested. They're more likely to speak up and ask questions, collaborate with others. It also helps people feel like they're part of something bigger than just their individual task lists, right? And that matters, especially in healthcare and mental health care, because the work we do can be very demanding and people need to feel connected, not only to the mission, but also to the people and the culture around them. And When belonging is missing, morale can drop. People start to feel isolated and disconnected. They might stop contributing ideas. They might feel like they're just getting through the day rather than being part of a team. I'm not saying belonging fixes every workplace challenge, but it does create a foundation of trust and connection. And that foundation can make hard work feel more sustainable.
I agree. I think when an employee doesn't feel like they belong, that's where we often see rates of people quietly quitting, right? So I think this is you're right. It maybe doesn't fix everything, but it is a key component here for sure. Madison, your thoughts?
Yeah, this morale, this confidence with employees when belonging is prioritized does truly drive in engagement. And I believe that it also helps to align the employer with a more people-focused mission, vision, and value. The health and the wellness of doing these things in the work, again, will help to drive that company's success. So it's not only just valuable to an employee, but the employer as well, to keep them on track to what their bigger idea is, their bigger picture.
Oh my gosh,
Ultimately,
I
their
agree.
success.
Yeah, I agree. And I mentioned earlier about company culture and definitely how employee morale can play into that, but how is a company's culture shaped on a daily basis?
Yeah.
Jewel?
Yeah.
I think first it's important to recognize that when a company's as big as Life Sciences, belonging has to be intentional, right?
Mhm,
Because
mhm.
company culture is shaped by the small moments that happen every day, right? It's shaped in how people are greeted, how the meetings are ran, even like how your team's messages come across and how conflict is handled. And it's shaped by whether people feel comfortable asking questions. It's shaped by whether people feel ignored or acknowledged, right? And sometimes we think culture is only about these like big initiatives and mission statements or formal values. And those things matter, but culture is really what people experience. It's what people feel after interacting with their teams, with their supervisor, or the organization as a whole. And if people are repetitively experiencing respect and communication and support, that becomes part of the culture, right? And so to me, culture's built on the repetition. Every interaction either builds trust or it weakens it.
I agree. Madison, your thoughts on that?
Yeah, so one of my favorite things to do to analyze culture, and especially in an office setting, is to go in the lunchroom at lunchtime and see how many people are taking the time to sit down and have conversation about their day. There's nothing like walking in to a room and seeing collaboration happening, communication, people taking the time to acknowledge each other, their existence, their contributions to the office, taking the time to celebrate that they showed up today. So that's one of my favorite things, to just weigh and scale the culture in an office space. Just having the comfortability to connect with your teammates on many different levels, communicating openly. So, there are different ways to drive those kinds of things. And a lot of that starts with one person coming in, inviting another person to have lunch with them. And next thing you're someone's following the lead.
And what a simple thing, just merely asking someone to sit down and have lunch with you, or even just the basic taking time to step away from your desk and eating lunch too.
Exactly.
A better way to do it than with your colleagues and your coworkers, for sure. Great ideas here. So, what role does leadership play in fostering a culture of belonging?
Yeah, I think leadership plays a major role because leaders set the tone for what is valued, what's expected, and what's tolerated. The leaders here help foster belonging by communicating clearly and listening well, right? Being consistent and creating these spaces for different perspectives. And I also think that leaders have a responsibility to notice who's not speaking, right? Whose work is not being recognized or whose perspective may be missing. So leadership's not about being perfect. I don't think we need people in leadership roles who have all the answers. I think people need leaders who are willing to listen and learn and follow through, right? And repair when needed. A culture of belonging doesn't happen by accident. Leaders have to be intentional about creating it and modeling it and protecting it.
Love that you emphasized it's intentional. Definitely, I agree.
I love the intentionality. I think that, and also protecting that jewel, I think is a really great call out. And there are ways that we can see leaders doing that, whether that's not only holding their employees accountable, but holding themselves accountable, communicating expectations clearly, offering feedback that supports everyone's growth, because everyone's growth is different, right? Taking the time to learn what your employees' needs are, what their strengths are, where their weaknesses are. Again, it's not a one size fits all. So there are just a few ways I think to foster that intention as well as that protection.
So, what hinders belongingness in the workplace?
There's several things that get in the way of belonging, I think. One of them is assuming that everyone experiences the workplace the same way, right? People come into work with different identities, different backgrounds, communication styles, different lived experiences, and different levels of access or power. And if we don't pay attention to those differences, we can unintentionally create spaces where some people feel included and others feel overlooked. I think defensiveness is a big one, right? If someone says, I felt dismissed or I felt excluded, and the immediate response is, that was not my intention, or you misunderstood, it shuts down the opportunity for
Right.
repair. I think belonging requires humility. It requires being able to pause and say, help me understand how that landed for you, instead of immediately trying to defend ourselves.
Yeah, I agree.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I think the environment that does not encourage open and safe dialogue hinders belonging. We need factors like psychological safety. We need an environment where employees feel valued, included, acknowledged. So, psychological safety is a really big one for me when it comes to hindering belonging. If someone doesn't feel like they can speak up and give an idea, or if they give an idea and then they're feeling belittled, they're likely not going to speak up again. And then you lose diversity in ideas. And
Right.
that's a big one for me.
Let me throw out a little follow-up question to this question. So, what does it look like to repair or rebuild belonging when someone has felt excluded, dismissed, or even unseen?
Yeah, I think repair has to start with listening, right? When someone says they felt excluded or dismissed or unseen, the first step is not to explain it away. It's to slow down and listen to understand the impact. Telling someone, like, thank you for telling me, right? I'm sorry that happened. I want to understand what felt dismissive and I want to do better moving forward. I think repair means acknowledging impact, right? Even when harm was not intended. Most people don't wake up planning to make someone feel excluded, but that impact still matters. And if
Mhm.
we only focus on our intent, we can miss the opportunity to rebuild that trust. And repair's not just an apology, right? An apology can open the door, but trust is built through consistent action over time. People need to see that their feedback mattered and that something changed because of it, right? LifeStance does the Glint survey twice a year, and we have a say in a lot of our vision impacts how LifeStance makes changes to improve the quality of work here. And I love that about them, right? True repair sounds like listening and accountability and then changed behavior and follow through.
Yes, yes.
Absolutely. I've witnessed that so many times within this company, and it's one of my favorite things. Our CEOs and our ELT teams, they take the time to read every single person's comment. And then, like Joel said, the follow-up, the checking back in, that is rebuilding trust, checking in over time. You don't that follow-up in your action, it does take time, right, to rebuild. It's not one conversation. It's a continued conversation. It's that willingness to take accountability. And again, with our favorite word of the podcast, is staying intentional.
Yes, yes, definitely. How can employees contribute to belonging even if they are not in a leadership role?
I think employees contributing to belonging every day, right? Even without that title of leadership, you create belonging by how you show up for your coworkers. And that might mean going into the break room, starting a potluck at your office when you're a new clinician, which I did, checking in on a new team member. It also means being willing to stay curious, right? Instead of assuming, instead of dismissing, we're listening. And I think noticing who may be left out, right? Who's not being invited into conversations, who may be quiet because they don't feel safe speaking up. You don't need a title to make someone feel respected. Sometimes belonging is built through small moments where someone feels seen and then thinks, I matter here.
So important. I think that key right there is feeling like you matter and are seen in an organization. I agree.
Yeah, absolutely. I completely agree with Joel. I think something small that you can do today, tomorrow, is if you notice someone who doesn't normally speak up in conversation, if there's a new project coming up and people are reaching out for ideas, encourage them to speak up. If you notice that they're having trouble speaking up in the larger group, maybe ask if they want some one-on-one time. Let them creating space for someone who you don't always see speaking up, but makes a huge contribution. Inviting into the conversation is just a small thing that we can do every day.
I agree. So, what is one small action someone listening could take this week to help create a stronger culture of belonging?
One small action is to intentionally acknowledge someone's contribution this week, right? That
Mhm.
could be a message that says, I appreciated your perspective in that meeting, or thank you for the work you did on that, right? I noticed how you handled that situation and it mattered. I think people often underestimate how powerful it is to feel seen. Acknowledgement can create connection, and it reminds people that their presence and efforts matter. I think another small action is to invite someone's voice into the conversation, right? Asking, what do you think? Or like Madison is saying, giving them the opportunity in a safe space if they're not comfortable in big groups. Is there anything that we may be missing that person could share? Those small things, but they can have a
Can
real
make a
impact.
difference.
Yeah. If every person listening chose one moment this week to help someone feel seen, respected, or included, that'd be a meaningful step toward building a stronger culture of belonging.
Definitely.
Absolutely, Joy. I would completely agree 100%. If there's time to have a conversation with someone during a break and find out what they're reading about. What are you interested in? And or make a suggestion to someone about something that you've been interested in, something you've learned. Create the space to connect. We do a national DEIB book club and we invite people to come to read the same book, to come in, to have open discussion about it. It's one of my favorite things. Invite someone at work to read a book with you. Create that space and the opportunity to share your ideas, talk about different experiences that you may have connected with from the book. So I always encourage anything like that.
Oh, love that. I'm going to toss one more question at both of you here. What are some practical steps an organization can take to start building or strengthening belonging right now?
I think number one, start with consistent opportunities for listening.
Oh,
And
love
that
that.
looks like surveys and listening sessions, team check ins, right? Or spaces where employees can share what is working and what is not. Another step is
Absolutely.
strengthening communication. I think people are more likely to feel connected when they understand what is happening and why decisions are being made and how their work connects to that bigger picture. Organizations also strengthen belonging by recognizing contributions across all roles. Sometimes belonging is weakened when certain roles feel invisible or less valued, right? We're in mental health, and I've been a therapist, and that doesn't mean that my role is more important than our practice coordinators, right? Or our practice group managers. It takes a team to make this effective, and a strong culture makes it clear that everyone's work matters. And on top of that, I think training and education are also important, right? Especially around cultural humility, communication, bias, and repair. But the goal should not be just to complete the training, right? The goal should be to help people interact differently. And finally, I think organizations should support DEIB efforts, right? Employee resource groups and other spaces for connection. These spaces help create visibility, learning, and that sense of community. They need the support and the participation and leadership buy in, though, to be meaningful.
Gosh, I agree.
I will second that, Jewel. DEIB visibility is so important. We sometimes, as co-chairs, and even on our international calls, we're hard on ourselves as co-chairs. We should be doing more. I know there's more we can do. And at the end of the day, we remind ourselves sometimes it's just about knowing that this is a part of our organization that makes the biggest impact. Knowing that if someone needs the space to talk about a way that they have felt undervalued, or just the space to talk about the climate or whatever it may be, that enough, it can be comfort for people just knowing that we're here. So DEIB, yes.
Yeah, Madison. Yes, just the fact
Well,
that knowing we're there could be very comforting right there.
exactly. We are really good at putting pressure on ourselves to do more and to be better, which is important as well. But just being there, showing up, spreading the word. If there is DEIB in your organization, let somebody know. Hey, these guys are here. If you need them, reach out. I also agree with Joel. Put out a survey. Find out what belonging feels like currently right now in your organization. What does the culture of belonging feel like? It's the best place to start. Ask the people you're working for. And a really practical step is an organization to just taking pause, evaluate your mission, your vision, your values. Are they people centered? At the end of the day, people are the driving force behind any organization's success. And when employees feel generally cared and supported, they're going to create a foundation for belonging. It's going to come from that, a foundation of belonging. And so when you have those people genuinely cared about, supported, you're going to have a successful culture, you're going to have a successful people, and you're going to have a successful organization.
Can't agree with that any more than how you just put that so well there, Madison. And let me say thank you both, Jewel, Madison. Thank you for sharing your insights about the importance of building a culture of respect and connection, and how that definitely fuels into belonging, which is such a critical part of being an employee at a healthy company and organization. So thank you again for sharing your insights.
Yeah, thanks so much for having us. And thank
We
you, Jill,
really
for being an
appreciate it.
amazing partner.
I agree. I could not do this without Madison. It definitely takes the team to reach as many people that we try to reach in our region.
Definitely. You guys seem to be doing a wonderful, amazing job. So thank you both.
Thank you.
So much. Go ahead.
I'd also like to thank the team behind the podcast, Jason Clayton and Julianne Wooden. Thank you for listening to Converse on the Couch. Take care, everyone.